Welcome to the Weekly Late Show on BBNBC. I am, like always, your host, Brady. Let's start out with the big news. The vaccine rollout has begun, and it is quite slow. And because of Joe Biden being the main person responsible for this vaccine rollout, let's turn to Joe Biden to explain maybe why the vaccine has been rolling out so slow and what are they trying to do in the future to help it roll out smoothly.
From 400 million ordered to 600 million. This is enough vaccine to fully vaccinate 300 Americans by end of the summer, the beginning of the fall. But we want to make, look, I want to repeat, it'll be enough to fully vaccinate 300 Americans to beat this pandemic.
However, I will add, I would rather a president that stumbles on his words than a president that outright lies. So I think we can be thankful for Biden's gaffes and mistakes, rather than having a president who purposefully makes mistakes. Well, now, according to one report, Yankee Stadium will now be used as the newest vaccination spot for giving the COVID-19 vaccine. Really? Because I was sure that was also already the biggest spot for getting a syringe stuck in your arm. Also, you could choose anywhere in New York City to give people the vaccine, and you chose the ballpark? The least sanitary thing in all of New York City is the ballpark. The only thing worse than the smell of a ballpark is the smell of the hot dogs that are served inside. So, who had that idea? Please. Here's Michael Jordan to deliver the message.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Here is a clip from Fox and Friends for you to get enraged about.
Changes are going to make. They're considering letting FEMA repurpose a big part of its overall disaster budget and use up to $10 billion of FEMA emergency COVID money for climate change projects. You got to think that the average person watching right now thinks, we have a pandemic. We should probably spend COVID money on COVID and not climate change at this point.
Oh no, what a sin. Joe Biden spent disaster relief money on something that might wipe out the human race in under 30 years. How terrible. Does anybody want to talk? Also, Fox News. Okay, he did that. It's not that bad. He took one disaster and spent money on another disaster. It's not that bad. Also, does anybody at Fox and Friends want to talk about how when Trump used campaign money to enrich himself and his businesses? Here is a clip of Fox News covering that story. I'm sorry? I'm getting some information that they never even covered that story because Fox News is not a real news network. Huh. Good to know. Well, let's just put this graphic up instead. Now it is legal to have an abortion in Arizona if you find out that your kid could have Down syndrome. Then the article went on to talk about why the death penalty should definitely exist. I almost find it hilarious that the most pro-life people you'll ever meet are in some way the most anti-life people you'll ever meet because they believe in killing people for mistakes. Here's the deal. If you want to save a human life, you can do anything to save a human life, then you're anti-abortion. Okay, you're entitled to your own opinion. I disagree, but you're entitled to your own opinion. You think abortion should be illegal. Okay, we're in America. People have different opinions. But then have a family, and then you're like, should we kill them or not? And you're like, we should definitely kill them. Look at all the mistakes they've made. Like Donald Trump. He's like, guess what? We need to save humans. But guess what? I'm going to be very simple. I'm going to kill a couple people before I leave office. It's going to be, I'm sorry, but it has to be done. It has to be done. It's like, come on, stay a little consistent. It's the same way if a coffee shop said, guess what, you're not allowed to drink caffeine anymore. And then the owner of the coffee shop went ahead and chugged 3 espressos. Stay a little consistent. Come on, you guys. Seriously. If you're going to be stupid, at least stay consistent in your stupidity. Like, what is this? Among keeping abortion rights around, Biden also promised to put some long-time needed restrictions on gun into place. For any gun enthusiasts out there, why do you need more than a gun? If you're using a machine gun to shoot something, then you probably shouldn't be shooting at it. I've said this before and I'll say it again. because nobody needs that kind of power. If you have one gun to protect yourself, okay, fine, that's okay. It's okay. One small handgun to protect yourself, fine. But if you're going to use a gun to protect yourself in the future, then why are you so adamant about getting one that instant? Gun enthusiasts will say that they should be able to get a gun any moment at any time. But if you get one in a month or in a year, it shouldn't matter. If you're going to need a gun, you will probably be thinking about it at least 3 years before you actually need to use it. Of course, if you are using it for the right reason. So please, Biden, we are all for gun controls. In fact, I have a great idea for how to make gun control work. How about we make a, quote, game for these gun enthusiasts and give them all guns and put them in one big circle. And then tell them last person alive wins. That way, they'll deal with themselves. The Super Bowl will take place either today, tomorrow, maybe yesterday, depending on when you're watching this. But nonetheless, it's a historic matchup. Buccaneers at home versus the Chiefs, who are, well, not at home. We here at BBNBC decided to derive our own hypothesis using some very clever math to figure out who will win the Super Bowl. And we have two equations that we will plug a bunch of numbers into, and using these two equations, we will be able to find out who wins the Super Bowl. The person with the bigger equation at the end will win the Super Bowl, and this will also tell us what the score of the Super Bowl will be. This, of course, method will never make mistakes. So let's start Patrick Mahomes' equation. So let's take 23 times 43 divided by 32 plus 14 to the power of 12 Columbanites. Then divide that by 21 divided by the sine of the cosine of the tangent of nitrosulfuric acid, which you would be a fool not to realize that that equals 24. So Mahomes will score 24 points during the Super Bowl, which leaves us with Tom Brady. Well, time for Tom Brady's equation. So 23 times 22 factorial to the power of 34 square kilometers to the power of 12 to the power of 13. All this divided by carbonic acid to the power of 12 times the sine of the cosine of the tangent of 14 cadmium arsenide, divided by 12 squared times this platinum, which gives us the handsome score of 28. So Tom Brady will win the Super Bowl 28-24. Sorry, Chiefs fans. Of course, this method will never be wrong, because this is math, and math is never wrong. QED, it has been proved. So using this very complicated math, we can agree that Tom Brady will win the Super Bowl. Yes, it's proof. Also, something quite interesting is that Tom Brady's contract has something called an incentive bonus, which means that if he wins the Super Bowl, he gets an extra $500,000. And in other words, spoken by Tom Brady, cool, now I get a free hot dog next time I come to Yankee Stadium, because that's how much ballpark dogs cost. For anyone who doesn't know, I was actually in a James Bond movie. Yes, that's very true. And here is the clip. Trump supporters are rioting again.
You must be joking.
Why do you assume that?
Because you still have spots.
That's not of importance.
Your competence is.
Just because you're older doesn't make you wiser.
And youth is no guarantee of innovation.
Correct, I was actually in the movie. I definitely didn't just Photoshop myself in. That was the real movie. Well, for the Weekly Late Show on BBNBC, I'm Brady Betts. Good night, everybody.